right, good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. We will start by asking folks if you are both willing and able to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk.
Approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 15th, 2022.
Has every member had a chance to review the minutes, and if so, is there any discussion on the minutes? If there is no discussion on the minutes, then I will make the motion to accept the minutes as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Vice Mayor Tuttle. Clerk will open a roll. Members cast the vote. Have received 6 yea votes to 1 absent vote. That motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Consent agenda items 1 through 14.
Has every member had a chance to review the consent agenda, and if so, is there discussion on the consent agenda? If there is no discussion on a consent agenda, then I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda or pass the consent agenda as it is presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded by Vice Mayor Tuttle. Clerk will open a roll. Having received 6 yea votes, that motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Summary review of Community Task Force Youth Correction System Standards, February 7th, 2022.
Is there any discussion on this topic? If there is no discussion on this item, then I'll make the motion to accept staff's recommended action to receive and file. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Vice Mayor Tuttle. Clerk will open a roll. Members cast the vote. Having received 6 yea votes, that motion does pass. Madam Clerk.
Council member appointments and comments.
Let's start off with appointments. First, I will be appointing District 6 Councilmember Maggie Ballard to the Mid-American All Indian Center Board of Directors. I'll also be appointing Alan Kaler to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Board beginning April 1st, 2022. Alan will bring a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the board. He will be replacing Barry Carroll, who has termed out. I want to acknowledge Barry's hard work and commitment to this board, and I hope that he will continue to be engaged. Are there any more appointments to boards at this time, or appointments in general? Councilmember Ballard.
I'd like to appoint Tom Ewert to Parks.
Parks Board?
Yes.
Is there any other appointments at this time? If there are no other appointments, then I will go ahead and make a motion to accept the appointments. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Tuttle. Clerk will open a roll. Members cast the vote. Having received 7 yea votes, that motion does pass. Madam Clerk, or is there any other announcements or statements for the good of the group? If there are none, I don't believe we have executive session or anything.
Excuse me, Mayor, we do have an executive session. I'll bring you the motion. We will not adjourn at this time, though. We'll stay in.
We have executive session at the end of this. Is there a blue sheet that, okay, thank you. I was wondering, I didn't have the blue sheet up here, but I thought in the hall talk we might have executive session, so therefore we will not adjourn the meeting. We will recess into the workshop. So with that, the chair recognizes the city manager, Bob Layton, for the workshop.
Thank you, Mayor. We have just 2 items for you today. The first one is a review of the proposed 2022 federal legislative agenda. And we have Jim Davenport, who is our Washington lobbyist, who is going to walk us through the proposed agenda, take your feedback, and then we can finalize this first document. And I say it that way because it's really a dynamic document. And as things progress in DC, as we learn more about the infrastructure bill and start to apply for grants, we may want to change somewhat what we have in the agenda. And there may be other issues that that Congress considers or that come from agencies that we may want to change our agenda through the year. But this will be our starting point, especially for your visit to DC this spring. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jim. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't know if Jim Jonas wants to make any introductory comments. Jim's okay, so we'll go to Jim Davenport.
A lot of
Thank you,
Jims
Jim.
here, so
Sure. Good morning, Mayor and City Council members, Bob and staff. First, before I get started, can everybody hear me okay?
yes, sir.
We can.
Great, great. Thanks for the time this morning. It's nice to be with you all virtually. Bob teed it up very nicely. We're going to talk about the city's 2022 federal agenda. It is a document that is a living document. It can be changed throughout the year. It can be changed at a moment's notice. I want you all to look at it primarily as sort of our marching orders for the beginning of the year. We can add to it, subtract from it, and it's really a discussion piece for today. It was built with the input of your team, your staff. Many of the items on there are items that have been on there for the last several years. They've been ongoing objectives for the city. And then there's a couple of, I think, new items as well. And there's some other items that are not on there at this moment, but maybe by the end of my time with you this morning. Do you all have it in front of you? Do you want me to share my screen? How would you like to approach it?
We do have a packet in front of us, which I believe has the
Okay,
items.
so
You can share your screen.
okay, so I will. Do you want me to share it too, or just
Yes,
just
please.
talk
For
about
those
it?
who are watching, sharing the screen will be helpful.
Okay. Okay, just give me a moment then. Okay, can you all see it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to skip over the title page and I'll just do a quick show of the table of contents. You'll see there's 7 items on here right now. Certainly there can be more or less as we talk about this, but again, this is a blueprint as we get started in 2022. Now, an item that was not listed last year on the agenda, but was certainly something that we submitted a request for through Congressman Estes, was funding for West Kellogg. If you all remember, last year, the House of Representatives, the House T&I Committee, the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, sought project requests from members of Congress for the surface transportation bill. And we submitted a request for West Kellogg, or was it East Kellogg? Now I'm sorry blanking, but it didn't make it in the final bill. And so what at least has been presented here is that there's a little bit of money that you need for design work, easement acquisition, and so forth, 2.25 million. We should be able to submit this as a funding request to Senator Moran when the Senate begins to solicit, the Senate Appropriations Committee begins to solicit projects from your senators. That's an amount of funding that's certainly doable for a senator to request from the Appropriations Committee. So we included it here. We could certainly look for grants as well, but it's not a huge amount of money at this point with that design work. So our thinking was we try to pursue it as a congressional directed funding request. So that's why that has appeared. We took North Junction off. That was, I had asked the question of your staff whether we were at a point to remove that project, and the answer I received was yes. So we kind of swapped them out. I'm going to move along to Amtrak. Amtrak, as you all know, has been a major goal for the city for a number of years now. We've been slowly moving the ball forward. Amtrak was given a huge infusion of cash in the infrastructure investment bill. The funding is still being, how they spend it is still being worked out with Amtrak, and it's going to be worked out for a number of years now. This is a 5-year bill, and I want everyone to remember this bill was not intended for a quick infusion of funding into projects. It's more of a deliberative approach. So we have already had some discussions with Amtrak. At some point, we'll have some further discussions with your input, but we want to keep Amtrak extension on here. This is something we need to continue to work with them on, with your congressional delegation on, and the state of Kansas. And that cannot be stressed enough that the state is going to have a very important role on making this a reality. So we're going to keep this on the list. Equus beds is another project that we have chipped away at over the years. In fiscal year 21, the city received $1 million from reclamation for this project. We have been able to obtain language in the appropriations bill for the past couple of years to establish a set aside for aquifer storage and recovery in the Great Plains region. In the current 2022 Energy and Water Appropriations Bill that has not passed Congress yet, it'll be wrapped up in the omnibus. There is another set aside of $25 million for ASR projects in the Great Plains. So our hope is once that bill is passed, we can continue to work with reclamation and obtain additional funding for Equus beds sometime here in the near future. So I will be working with your team to draft a letter to reclamation and work with the reclamation staff that are located in Austin, which is the regional office. I'm going to skip down to the next project. Before I go any further, any questions on those first few that I've talked about?
See none.
Okay. Very quiet in that city council meeting right now, so I want to make sure.
Everyone's on our first cup of coffee, Jim, so.
Okay, great. Last year, we also submitted a funding request to Congress. It was submitted to Senator Moran's office for, I think we called it something else, some sort of violence reduction program, but I noticed the city has named it the Strategic Engagement to Reduce Violence program, I guess is how you're referring to it, or SERVE. This is mainly a question for you all. I took the narrative that we had from last year and the budget that you all provided to me last year, and I left it on there at $2 million, but I also noticed, at least from what I read, that the police department has started up this program. So I thought we could make a funding request to Senator Moran's office, but I wasn't sure what exactly your needs are at this time. And you don't have to have an answer for me today, but it's something we need to think about the next few weeks. So if there's any thoughts on that or not, I'll just keep moving forward.
Jim, this is Bob Layton. The city council has put some money aside from our ARPA dollars to help with a piece of this, and that would be the violence interrupter program. And so I'll coordinate with you regarding that, and if there's any other component of this program that we want to insert.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
This next project I left on there as well, your biological nutrient removal project, but I am also aware that I believe, and this is another question, that this is the project that you would be receiving the latest WIFIA loan from. Is that, or for, is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I guess I'll leave it all up to you. If you feel that loan is secured and you feel comfortable with it, we can either, if that's all the money that you need, should we be taking this off or leaving it on?
I would recommend that we leave it on, Jim, so that we can discuss it when we're in DC in the spring.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. I just had a highlighted change to your affordable housing improvements. I made it this morning. I apologize for the last minute change. I noticed I still had the bill from 2019 on there with a different title. So it's the same goal. The new bill is the same goal. It's just changed it's from 2019 to 2021, and the Senate and House bill numbers have changed. So this objective is to improve the low-income housing tax credit. It does have bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate. I think when I last looked, there was over 140 co-sponsors in the House. So we'll certainly keep it on there. I don't know if an election year and with the makeup of the Senate, if this is a bill that can still get over the finish line, but we'll certainly keep it on there and keep you apprised of it. The ozone pilot program is another objective the city's had for a number of years. I think the pilot program idea came about maybe a couple of years ago, but we've always talked about the issue. I'm happy to keep discussing this with your folks on the Hill, with the EPA, to see if there's some way we can figure out a path forward for a pilot program like this. The state of Kansas just received approval from the EPA for their national ambient air quality standards. I had sent that off to the city to take a look at to see if the EPA was requesting comments, and I was asking you if you all wanted to comment on that approval by EPA and whether you wanted to mention your objective in your comments. So please let me know if that's something you'd like to do. Bob, I can revisit this with you sometime after the call. And that's what's on the agenda. Although I would be remiss if I didn't say that Bob has mentioned a couple of additional projects, Cheney Dam, wellfield improvements, and the Public Works staff has sent a very lengthy list of their review of the infrastructure bill and where they thought you could seek federal grants as they're put out on the street, so to speak. I kept that document aside because it was extremely, if added to the agenda, it would be very long. So I thought we could keep it separate, but I'm happy to talk about those two if you would like. I'm going to stop my screen from sharing at the moment. Okay. So do you all want to talk about anything on the agenda or anything that's missing or any feedback?
See none.
Well, you guys are making it easy for me this morning.
So we don't have the screen to hit, so I did want to, I had
Please
two
jump in
things.
then. My apologies.
Hey, Jim. My first
Councilmember.
question around the SERVE initiative we have, is there any conversation in Congress about the weed and seed type initiatives of the 90s?
I don't know if there's a specific conversation about that type of program. I could certainly look at it. There is opportunities to get, there are opportunities to get congressional directed funding for programs like this. Through the Commerce Justice State Appropriations Bill, members of Congress can submit project requests for funding that looks very much like this type of program. In fact, I could show you a very long list of projects that are about to get funding for FY22. So I'd be more than happy to send this to Senator Moran's office, but I can look at some larger congressional objectives as well.
Okay. And then my second question is, you look at the infrastructure bill. I don't think we've talked about it as a city, but looking at municipal Wi-Fi or providing Wi-Fi to low access areas, is that something that has been talked? I've heard the president talk about that. Is that an opportunity as well?
So we just sent out a fairly detailed memo from my firm on the broadband opportunities that are available. If we can have a conversation possibly afterwards, or I could direct you to that memo. A lot of the funding will go through the states, but local governments are able to access it either through the state, and there's some direct opportunities as well. But there's opportunities for broadband right now.
Okay, I'll follow up with you on that.
We,
Okay.
if I could, Mayor, we received the Thorn Run analysis, and our IT staff is working through a strategic approach to partnering with others in the community for expanded broadband. So we'll be bringing something back to the council based on the information that's in that piece. As you can imagine, there are a lot of players and a lot of turf involved in this as well. So, but that is one area where there's sufficient, or I should say significant funding available to both cities and to farm areas around the state and actually around the country to try to permanently address the gap in terms of Wi-Fi coverage or fiber. So we'll be bringing something forward. I also will share with the council the report that Jim just talked about. Gary Jansen and Alan King and other staff members did do a great job of analyzing the infrastructure bill and opportunities that we may have for funding of our projects, and I'll give that to you. I do think it's something you want to take with you to Washington, if for no other reason, to show the breadth of the potential for the use of the infrastructure funds. Almost all of it will be distributed on a competitive basis. We won't be receiving much of anything in terms of a formula distribution. So we'll be competing with with cities around the country in order to be able to receive funding. But we'll share that with you.
Does that help with the smart city approach we were taking? I think that was 2018 or 19 when we had that workshop with Mike Maida, and we were talking about moving Wichita towards being a smart city. Would this plug into that?
There are opportunities to plug into smart initiatives. Those were confined mostly to our operations, city operations, and how we could best create an infrastructure to support what we want to do. But what you'll see with the analysis from Thorn Run is that there are numerous funding opportunities for citizen hookup, so to speak, or citizen service, and that's what we'll be looking at.
Awesome.
Further discussion? Councilmember Bluebock.
Thank you. Jim, thanks a lot for your work on West Kellogg. I certainly appreciate everything you're doing to, at least even though we didn't make it through, you're putting what we need there to, get it to shovel ready as we can. And hopefully whenever the opportunity does come up, we can latch onto it. So thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Sure. Thank you.
Further discussion? All right, I think that's all. Mr. Manager.
Jim, thank you so much. We really appreciate your participation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. I will see many of you in DC in about a month. We have started making the meeting request already, so look forward to seeing you all in person again.
We look forward to it as well. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, the next item has to do with what we call continuity of operations. And basically, what do you do if a portion or all of our operations are knocked out by some type of event? It could be a natural disaster, it could be a cyber catastrophe. And so Chief Snow has been coordinating the work of all of our departments to come up with a citywide continuity of operations plan, and she's going to go through that with you today.
Welcome, Chief.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, Tammy Snow, Fire Chief. In March of 2020, City Manager tasked each one of the department heads to update their continuity of operation plan, basically due to COVID. At that particular time, I tasked one of my staff members, Chief Darrell Coles, with updating the Wichita Fire Department one. The end projects or the end work products that were produced by each one of the departments were of a variety, I'd like to say. Very little consistency. When Daryl was tasked for entertaining the Wichita Fire Department's continuity of operations plan, he had the opportunity to run into a template that is produced by the state of Kansas for continuity of operation plans. And so he put his hand up along with Andrew Swanson to act as project managers for the entire city to ensure that moving forward, each department has a consistent, based on the state template, continuity of operation plan, and also one in which has some sustainability. Because currently we would just, as we think of it, or as we would forecast out that we'd have an issue, we would update it. And some departments more frequent than other departments. So this, what I'm going to do right now is introduce to you Chief Daryl Coles, and he'll kind of go through the continuity of operation plan and what the next steps are. But this is going to provide us an opportunity to have continual maintenance on that program, allow us to actually train on that program through some additional programs and continue to build that out. But we all have a consistent program now, or plan of action now. And so looking forward to what it'll bring in the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to Daryl Coles to go over the presentation.
Morning and welcome.
Good morning, Council. Daryl Coles, Battalion Chief with Wichita Fire. Today, I'm just going to speak a little bit about what the COOP is, what the COOP isn't, some next steps moving forward as we keep going with this COOP project. So when I'm talking about what a COOP is, it's sometimes you want to start with what a COOP really isn't. When we got the COOPs citywide, when COVID started, what I was seeing with COOPs, they were just a mixture of continuity plans with emergency operations plans, and it was a little mucky on what people were going to do if there was major disruption. COOPs are not a disaster plan. They don't tell you what to do in case of fire. They don't tell the public what to do if there's a tornado. What they do is it's a departmental plan for each department on what they're going to do to keep their operation running. It establishes the essential functions and pretty much tells you, the political body and the public, how we're going to keep those going and where we're going to keep our essential functions running. So as we moved along in the project, I just kind of wanted to show you what we did over time. We started this project, or the reason why we got here was because of the city manager wanting to see everybody's COOPs, make sure everybody's ready. He had the foresight to know something big was coming in 2020. As we got all those in and I started looking at them, I was like, oh, I think we're pretty prepared, and obviously we were, because we were able to work through the pandemic. But I did see that we needed a standardized approach, and we also needed some a way of keeping the program going. We needed some sustainability. So in June, March up to June, we initiated a project with all departments to redo the way we do COOPs within the city of Wichita. We got a hold of KDM, the Kansas Emergency Management Association, and local emergency management, and we got access to cloud-based products called Kansas Planner. The county uses this for all of their COOP plans, and we're able to use that also. We had just never leveraged that platform before. So now we're using that platform to keep our COOPs going, and you can see that it goes through your delegation of authority, through your essential functions, your primary and alternate facilities. It's just a really good way to keep all that information available to each department. As we went through the project, there was quite a bit of training just how to use the platform, the Kansas Planner platform. Each department had to identify 1 or 2 representatives. They had to go through about 8 hours of training on their own. And then we met pretty much every 2 weeks through the whole process, and they had to do about 1 to 4 hours of work in between each meeting to get their coop up and running. In the end, we wanted to have fully functional coops that each department director approved. And as we worked through the project, that fully functional part was what I always stressed to all the departments. We don't want something that's 200 pages long that we can print off and put up on a shelf. I wanted to make sure we all had very functional coops that the city manager and of course our political body knew that we could use in case of major disruption. Again, we started in March of 2021, and then all department directors signed off their coops by January of this year. The big part of this, that was a big, heavy push to get all of our paper coops into an electronic system. A lot of work for everybody, but I kind of see the real work now starting. We're partnering with local emergency management, and hopefully they can get some drill packages together and help us with our planned maintenance. So it's a yearly cycle. You could spend the first part of the year doing various tabletop drills in the departments, the department head or department level, and then spend 6 months doing your planned maintenance, making sure your contacts are good to go, that your essential functions are still aligned, and again, making sure it's a fully functional plan for everybody. How does this affect you? Pretty much, if you go back to what you went through with the pandemic, pretty much where do you relocate to? I know we had some stumbles along the way on how do we even get forms signed with all council members at home. And the main thing is the way it applies to you is hopefully, as we work through this, that our political body has, confidence that all your departments are ready for major disruptions, and we can keep our essential functions up and going. I stand for any questions that you might have at this time.
Questions for staff? Vice Mayor Tuttle.
Thank you. I don't have any questions, but I'd just like to make a few comments. I can honestly say I'm very excited to see this, and the manager and I had a conversation about our contingency of continuity of operation plan back in 2020. I used to work at the Sedgwick County Health Department, and we had a worksite wellness division, and one of the functions of that was to help work sites within our community develop coops during H1N1. So I've had a lot of experience doing this, and especially for small businesses, because it can have such an impact on them if they don't have a plan. And as we all know, small businesses are the backbone of our economy in our city. So I really want to thank the manager and thank the fire department for being forward-thinking and making sure that we can continue to provide efficient and effective services to our residents that they deserve. So truly was excited to see this presentation today. Thank you for all your work.
Further discussion?
Yes, sorry. Does this include any contingency plans in case of a blackout, anything like that, to where we're not able to access the platforms?
So within each plan, it just depends on your essential services and what you have. So yes, it does. It's so departmental specific, but each department, based off of their risks and what their vital records are to get their work done, it allows them to plan to be able to get their work done based off of those different risks. So hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, as you can imagine, there are security concerns in terms of how much we talk about the plan in public. If council members would like a private briefing on any of the provisions in the COOP, we'd be more than happy to provide those so that you get a little better feel for the type of planning that's being done. Obviously, restoration of our operations will have some financial implications too, and the council will be required to weigh in terms of a review and approval if we get to a point where we do need your financial authority in order to be able to get operations back up after a real significant event. But again, more than happy to do more detailed briefing one-on-one if you're interested.
Very good. Further discussion at this time? If not, then I assume that the members can email you as the manager and set up a one-on-one with, or not one-on-one, but a conference with the fire department. Very good. If there's no further discussion, then we thank you for being here. Is there any further workshop discussion from the manager? If not, we will end our recess and resume our original meeting of the council. With that, I make a motion. I move that the city council recess into executive session for 30 minutes to receive information on an offer of settlement in a civil case pursuant to KSA 754319B2 for legal consultation with the city attorney, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship about pending litigation, legal advice. The executive session is required to protect the attorney-client privilege and the public interest. And we would ask that this will begin at 10:15 and it will go until 10:45, in which we will meet back here in the chamber to either extend or to have a motion to adjourn. So with that, we will recess into executive session.
Need a vote on that motion?
I do have to vote on that motion.
Second.
Yes, motion has been made and then seconded. We don't have our board up. All in favor of said motion, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. The ayes do have it. Thank you.